The first video in a series that I'm doing about my demonic path working and especially using entheogenic herbs and flying ointments. And as you can see, my cats are in the background. Moon is paying tribute to Lilith, and Corey's just like, what's going on? He's not the shiniest coin in the fountain, but he tries. Moon is very witchy. So you'll probably see them behind me every now and then because they're cats and there's really not much that can be done about that. And I'm sure Corey will find a way to knock things over. But anyways, so I'm breaking these up into different parts for each, demon or dark spirit or whatever, deity or whatever that I'm working with. And there probably will be multi-parts for some of them as I'm going through the different process because, things change. Revelations are had, mysteries are solved, strange tasks and quests are given. So this is going to be on my journey with Lilith, and that's kind of where I started working with demonic spirits, dark goddess, dark spirits. Lilith is looked at in many different ways. I'm not going to go into sort of the history of Lilith because there's a lot of information out there on that already. But so a lot of this work that I'm doing is in the astral realm and working with the flying ointments, as I mentioned previously. I didn't always note which one I was working with, so, but that's, if there is anything specific that I will let you know. I have my lovely little book with me. And so without further ado, so I have to kind of like look at my notes and things like that. So my first night with Lilith, I was in the astral realm. I did a guided meditation along with chanting her demonic end, which is Ranish, Vyasa, Avaj, Lilith, Larash. The portal between the dimensions was like a rainbow glistening in shiny darkness, sort of like an oil slick in a way. The realm was dark, yet welcoming. I asked Lilith for her permission to enter and work with her. She told me that I have been here before, that I've always been here. I asked her for some advice on a personal situation and things like that. And, she gave me some guidance and then I returned back to my realm. So that was just my first little working with Lilith, kind of testing the realms. And, I was curious when she said, that I had been here before because this was the first time I was working with Lilith. So, but as I've come to work with Lilith, she knows a thing or two or all of them. And she seems to know everyone too. She must have been a great social hostess. You can see her like, oh, let me introduce you to so-and-so. But anyways, so in the next time I worked with Lilith, she reminded me of a dream that I had back in January of 2015. And so that's like over 5 years ago. And just the little backstory on the dream, I had just had surgery and also had the flu. So I was high on the Percocets and had like the fever dreams from the flu. But in this dream, and I wasn't doing any of this work then, I wasn't practicing witchcraft. I wasn't, I was always witchy, but, just sort of life circumstances and things like that kind of prevented me from doing anything with it really in a profound way like I am now. So in this dream, I traveled to the underworld, to this demonic realm, and it was revealed to me that I was a ruling class demon. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Demons are demons. So, and I really never was all that into demonology, so, I came into a lot of this, from sort of an atheist, agnostic background of, there's a spirit world, I just don't put names to things and whatnot. So, I asked, who was I? And she wouldn't reveal it to me yet, but again, I've been here before. And I wrote some random things down. It says, between the ruins in my dreams, the temple arises. Blood, sand, stone, flesh. Stone, sand, blood, bones. Some of these workings are going to, especially with Lilith, are going to overlap with my workings with Lucifer because a lot of times I work with them in tandem with each other. So I did my first, this was a live evocation of Lucifer on the full moon in April 2020. And I spoke aloud. I did a few sort of, I don't know if you want to call them prayers or something like that, and thanks to Lucifer. And I burned some candles and things like that. I'm not going to go into all of it, but, in the background, like a lot of times when I do rituals, or even when I do astral travel, I'll have like stuff in the background playing. And, I had like the Lucifer's demonic end playing and some invocation stuff. And Lilith was also present for this as well. And I used my universal circle, which I'm sitting on right now for the first time. And the energy was really amazing from this ritual. And there was a surprise thunderstorm as soon as I was done. And it was one of those ones where I had like a magic hangover for like the next day. That happens sometimes, apparently. It's like drinking too much, but like magicking too much. So one of the notes I wrote here is, I'm going to transcend, manifest, and become through this gnosis, rising, burning the world to the ground. In darkness I shall rise. I am, I have. Between the worlds, in the darkness, the brightest star descending majestic rainbows to the temple of Lilith and Lucifer's realm. I am becoming pure, a god of my own reality. So, in the beginning, I was primarily working with Lilith, and then started working a little bit more with Lilith and Lucifer, and then adding the demonic gatekeepers in, Belial and Azazel. I'm doing a little bit with Abaddon right now, and the other gatekeepers as well have made appearances here and there. So again, I was evoking Lilith in the astral realm, and she welcomed me again. And in comparison to the first time I did astral work with Lilith, everything was more concrete, yet sort of ethereal. Like, the first time it was more dark and shadowy, like I could sense like wings, but like nothing was really taking form. Nothing was taking form in a really, really concrete kind of way. So in this time, we ascended a spire from her realm. Like, I usually, for whatever reason, whenever I meet with Lilith, she's always like on top of her temple outside. So there's this a spire that goes up into the astral realm, into sort of the astral realm within the astral realm, going up into the stars and in the universe. And we were just sort of, I don't know what we were sitting on, maybe a platform or something, but we were sitting and laying amongst the stars, just observing the universe. She told me she would share her infinite knowledge with me in due time. We made an oath to each other. She gave me her vampire goddess kiss. I already gave her my blood offering on my physical realm altar. Actually, with the, it's in, I can show it to you because it's right behind me. It's in the, shake it up a little bit, but it's in the Lilith ritual anointing oil that I made. So in mine, I added some of my own blood to it. Sorry, you don't get my blood in the stuff I sell. That probably would violate some FDA regulations. So back to the story. Her body was illuminated. Her hair was of blood and fire. And, various parts of her, like her navel, her nipples, and other parts were like rubies. And her flesh was kind of almost like delicate, like china, ceramic, that really porcelain, that's the word I'm looking for, like porcelain, but yet but beneath it was like a very strong kind of stony steel sort of structure. So I don't know if this is the same instance or another one. I didn't really delineate as I was writing it down. So in this one, we traveled to the underworld. And by this time I'm finding that contacting her has become much easier. And, again, I revisited that dream in which she reminded me of, in which I was a ruling class demon. So we traveled on what I call her astral elevator, for lack of a better term, to the underworld to find out. I'm not really sure who we spoke to, but they told that my name was Amamiel, and that's A-M, like, apostrophe Mamiel. And I decided to go topside to experience the living realm again. So it's interesting, but that is something that kind of gets woven in throughout the various times I've worked with Lilith, is finding out more about this Amamiel person that I once was, or am, I don't know. So again, I traveled on another occasion to Lilith's temple in the astral realm, and as I reached inside her, it literally opened up like an interdimensional portal that was within her. And we were sort of traversing around the astral realm and things like that. So I've been exploring so many different realms, hijacking the multiverse, AI programming of reality. I've learned how to navigate, explore, and experience. I'm becoming what? I don't know yet. I can tell the world is changing, becoming something new, beyond the virus, beyond the matrix. A new world is emerging. I'm standing at the precipice of becoming, transcending. So this next time that I worked with Lilith, I allowed her to possess my body. And it felt really natural. Like, I felt like as she was kind of coming, as I was drawing her into me and she was kind of taking over my body, that, and this has happened on kind of multiple occasions where we sort of merge into one, that, I felt, her body as my own, and we were traveling with boundless ethereal energy, bouncing through the realms without effort. Oh, this is the first time I worked with Belial. So afterwards, I asked Lilith to introduce me to Belial, since I was starting the Belial path working, and through the other demonic gatekeepers, and and I've been working with Belial for a little while now. Well, at least at the time I'm recording this. So he had, at that point in time, they hadn't taken on like a physical, identifiable corporeal form. But we talked. I expected challenges from everything I read about other people's experiences with Belial. And I was really expecting him to challenge me to examine my life. And, I know he can be sometimes really harsh and, in unpleasant ways. But instead, they recognized that I worked through the hardest, darkest parts of my life and have done the work that most Black magicians haven't done who come to him during the path working process. So when I was working with Belial for the first time, it was like, one of the things he kind of said is most people haven't gone through that interpersonal soul repairing journey that I've embarked upon on my own over the past 10 or so years. Probably longer. But also they acknowledged me as a Mamiel as well, and I asked for more information about who I was and why I left that realm. They seemed pleased by my presence, and they said that I was bored and wanted to experience living in our realm again. And they also said that it had been a very long time since I had walked the earth, and I wanted to see what changed since the last time I was here. And as I noted, I've always suspected I was not entirely of this world. I'm going to continue working through Lilith regularly and work through the realm of Belial. I did ask him for some prophecy, but that part gets murky. I have really bad handwriting. The current state of the world is in phase 1 of the transition to the new world. Things are changing, and the virus is just the beginning. As I've started working with the different demons and demonic gatekeepers, one of the things I've done is sort of asked kind of like, how I can pay tribute or pay respect, for the things that, they're helping me with, or the knowledge they're bestowing upon me. So in the next working, I was with and this was again astral realm stuff, with Lilith, Lucifer, and Belial. And I was asking them, for more information on occult mysteries and, how to build a portal between different astral realms. So I asked them what each of them wanted. Lucifer wanted an angel food cake with a rose petal infused glaze, which I did make. It was lovely. I think Beelzebub got jealous because in the day or two after, it got infested with ants. Beelzebub. And Belial wanted me to punch a Nazi. Still have to do that. I think I could do it virtually, so, as soon as someone's like trolling something, actually I probably have done that by now. You know, whatever. Lilith, well, as we know with Lilith, she's all about the blood and sex. But she would also like to pet my kitty Moon, who you saw earlier in the background, because Moon always pays tribute to my Lilith altar and stuff like that. She gets really kind of, she'll get annoyed if I leave something in front of it and she can't get to it. So, and out of all of the demons I've worked with, Lilith is the one I've worked with the most. So this will probably be a longer video than some of the other ones. So in my next working with Lilith, we met Samael. And I haven't really worked much with Samael, so I think maybe once or twice he's appeared. And we had to be on a cliff overlooking the water or like an ocean. And we were deciding which cliff to go to. I suggested Portishead in the UK. I forget if it's in England or Wales. It's like right, kind of in between. Then we debated Victoria Falls and Niagara Falls, but decided on the White Cliffs of Dover. We both wore white gauzy flowing gowns and floral crowns on our head. We held hands and gracefully leapt into the water below. I was worried about drowning, but Lilith assured me that we could breathe underwater. Samael didn't take corporeal form, but he sort of swirled around us like a black ethereal serpentine smoke. The only thing I can liken it to is if you watch the television show Lost, is this kind of like the smoke monster. So, and this time I noted which flying ointment I used. Actually, I used a Brumansia one, which I got through the Jagged Path. And I finally ordered some Brumansia of my own to experiment with that I'm very excited about. So I did the Lilith evocation, and I allowed her to possess me again. It was funny because Moon, my cat that I mentioned, immediately came and laid on me during the entire 2 to 3 hour experience, which she almost never does. And Lilith got her wish to pet the kitty. So I think Moon in some way is like a familiar for Lilith. She's a weird little watcher kitty witchy poo. Because sometimes when I'll put the Lilith demonic end chanting on, won't know where that cat is, put that video on, she's like, ha. So, things were dark inside Lilith's gnosis. We traveled to a large grandiose room, and there was a long burgundy wooden boardroom style table. It was very ornate, and Lilith and I, at this point, separated into our own individual bodies instead of as one. And she was seated at one end of the table, and Lucifer was at the other end. And the demonic gatekeepers were sitting with us. Except for Satan, but King Paimon was there, which is interesting because I've never worked with King Paimon before. So, but the rest of them were all there. Belial, Azazel, Asmodeus, Abaddon, Beelzebub, Lucifer, and Baal. So she introduced me as Amamiel. Eventually, we moved to the center of the ritual room. I was in the center of the circle, surrounded by Lilith and the gatekeepers. And usually, for me, when all the gatekeepers are present as one at the same time, they're always kind of in cloaked, kind of hooded, full-length, ritual garb for some reason, and sort of have smoky, ethereal features, so they don't really look different from each other, but yet you know who each one is. So, in order to reveal the knowledge I once possessed as Amamiel, I had to pass a test from the gatekeepers. They each drank of my blood, and I drank of theirs. I was accepted onto this path, and things will be revealed slowly because they said, as a human, I could not handle the sudden gnosis all at once. I allowed Lilith to leave my body and return to her realm. And, it's funny, in the next time I worked with her, I was I was sort of thinking, I'm always asking her for stuff. I'm so Lilith, what do you want to do? And she wanted to go swimming, so we went swimming. And I'm not entirely sure where. It had beautiful sunlight, cliffs, otherworldly, and we both swam like mermaids. So in this time I was working with Lilith, I was channeling her, and I actually transcribed what I wrote because I just probably wrote it on scrap paper, knowing me. She is the key, ascending, ascent, ascension. She is here now. I am who am and all that ever was. It was, it will be, unending. I am who was, I am who is, I am, I am. I will rise, I am rising, I am here now in her vessel. So I did a Blu-ray meditation, also while using the Datura Brumansia again, flying ointment, and I'm just going to read what I wrote down because it doesn't really make an entire, not really, there's not a lot of sentence structure. Open doors, open portals to realms impossible, gnosis, revelations, everyone is asleep. My eyes are closed. NPCs, non-player characters, it's a gaming term, meander through life unaware, transcending, becoming, all will be revealed in due time. Lilith opens all gates, holds all keys, knows all realms, and is mother of what is known and will be. So y'all need to be working with Lilith. This is all I'm saying here. So at this point in time, I started custom tailoring my flying ointments to the individual demon that I was working with. So I made a Lilith flying ointment. So what I did with that was I used the entheogenic herbs like belladonna, mandrake, and datura, but I also used herbal correspondences and aromas that are associated with Lilith in this blend. So this is the first time that I did that. And I apologize because some of this might be discussed in other videos. I'm just trying to kind of keep the story linear so you don't have to watch 20 different videos to like get the whole story. So this is the first experience with that. Everything was more vivid, clear, and intense. I learned a little bit more about Amamiel. She had no children of her own, but was a surrogate mother of fallen angels. Which is funny because I had actually talked to Orly Stewart about that. I had mentioned that in one of the videos we did. And she said in Hebrew, it sort of translated something, I forget offhand, it was like maybe like mother of gods or something like that, or mother of angels. But so that was interesting. So mother of fallen angel, or like a surrogate mother to fallen angels is what Amamiel was. And I sensed moving upwards to the stars and then down to the underworld. Belial also popped up randomly and wants me to find someone, and name omitted, because he gave me a specific name, and tell them that they're a pusillanimous twit. Belial, eh? And, you know, I get the feeling, I'm going to do a separate video kind of piecing all the Amamiel stuff together, but like, I kind of get the feeling that her origin comes from something like ancient Sumerian, Mesopotamian, something in that realm from back then. So now in the storyline, I've started shapeshifting and being able to do that in the astral realm. So I wrote down 3 different instances. I think in the first one I was working with Lilith and Lucifer, but we were walking, I don't remember exactly what we were doing, but we were walking and I had like a long robe on and kind of looked as I am now. And then I had sort of these spiral horns that were leathery and brown, kind of leathery wings with black tips. My face became elongated like a skull, like a combination of a goat and a raven. And the lower half of my body transformed into a serpent so I could move faster on the ground. And then another time I got to Lilith's realm and I transformed into a dove and flew up to where she normally is. This part doesn't necessarily have to do with shape-shifting, but I went to Lilith's realm and she was perched atop her temple and her arms and chest were kind of thrust kind of like forward like this, and this just light was like shooting out of her, and it was this like radiant glowing golden light, and the light was to awaken those who have not found their voices yet. So she's definitely throwing off a lot of energy right now, and a lot of other people have noticed that that she's becoming a little more vocal and things like that. So I asked Lilith, Lucifer, and Belial about the Infernal Empire. And they said, it's the space between the conscious realm and the astral realm, but exists within all of us. As in, we are all our own gods, and we all are our own adversary / Satan as well. So there's the balance between. Satan is rising not as one human, but as us all. And one of the common things that's come up, this is within another working with Lilith, is that I keep being told I need to love myself more, or I need to love myself as much as I love others, because I love so much and so intensely that it often depletes myself energetically, emotionally, and spiritually, and magically. So that's just something that's really kind of been really interesting. That's come up a few times now that I've gotten that message. So it's something I'm doing some self-work on. Because I know Belial, I think, said the same thing too recently. And so this next one, I actually did a breakout video on this. This was the one on demonic spirits and gender manifestation. I'll put a link to it in the description, since I did like a whole story on that. So this time I noted I was working with the Brahmansia tincture. Also, I think I got that at the Jagged Path. So while working with Lilith, we were among the stars again. The stars are our soul fire. She showed me my star and where my boyfriend's star is as well. And told me how we are reborn from that same star until it burns out. And then at that time, we become ascended masters. So I'm just kind of pulling some notes out, because sometimes there's little things that come up in other workings and stuff like that of notes. So, and this one I noted that, again, you know, while journeying with Lilith, we joined into one body and traveled around a bit. And I asked her how to summon Amamiel to be present in my body and to experience the world. And she said, I think I had done that at some point, although I left out the details on how. But Amamiel wants to hold a baby again, or a child. So I'll probably sort of end this video with, we're now up to sort of within the last week or so. So on summer solstice, and this will probably get mentioned in other videos too, because it ties a lot of things in together. So ended up having a threesome with Lilith and Lucifer, which was interesting. So we rode lightning bolts to the underworld to summon the rest of the demonic gatekeepers. Again, my body, I was laying on the ground this time, so my body was in the center, Lilith and Lucifer at one end. The rest of the gatekeepers were on either side in the middle, but I remember Belial and Azazel being next to each other, and then Satan appeared, finally. And he spoke to me and he said so many things. So the main thing, and this has come up a couple times now with working with other gatekeepers, is that they are fast-tracking my path working because I have an important role to play in everything. I think it has to do with Amamiel. He said I need to prepare and start eating better, less crappy food, and I need to be strong. Damn that Satan, that's fucking evil, man! I admit I sometimes like a Big Mac or a double cheddar roast beef from Arby's, but I'm trying to eat better for Satan. Do it for Satan. Eat well. So in the first time that I worked with Satan, he appeared as an infant human child crawling forth from the crypt. And I asked him about this, and he said that I wasn't ready at that time. He said that he is light disguised as darkness. He said that I never need to summon him, that he's always there, watching, waiting, observing, listening. I know more was said, but I have to kind of think about it more. So that's sort of where I'm at right now in my workings with Lilith in the astral realm. Most of the times with these I've been using, and occasionally I'll do meditations where I'm not using flying ointments or stuff like that. But that's kind of how my experiences are. And you can see from where I started out in the beginning, where they were very short, and they start becoming longer and more in depth and more involved, especially when I started making the specific flying ointments dedicated to that particular demon. So I'm kind of working my way through them. So I'm up to, I have ones for Lilith, Belial, Lucifer, Satan, and Azazel. Still trying to figure Abaddon out right now, and I haven't really done a lot of work with Beelzebub, Lucifuge, and Baal yet. They appear from time to time kind of as background characters, but I haven't really worked one-on-one with them. I just wish Beelzebub would stop sending fruit flies to my kitchen. That'd be nice. Anyways. So I'm sorry this video kind of ended up a little bit longer than I had intended, but as I said, I've worked with Lilith a lot more than the others, so the other videos will be much shorter. So thank you again for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. And thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. Love you all.